Arsenal can win their games however they choose because the title is ours to lose. After that gritty 1-0 win against Leicester City, we're just one victory away from bringing the Premier League trophy back to where it belongs. One more win, and not just any win, a win against Spurs, a team we've already dismantled more than once this season. Beat them, and we're officially crowned champions of England. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we start dreaming about the parade, let's take a step back and talk about what actually happened against the Foxes. Because trust us, that game had both sides that we love and hate about Arne Slot. So if you missed the match, or if you just want a clean tactical breakdown of what we did right and what we could have done better, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let us walk you through the game. Now, before we dive into the post-game analysis, we've got a quick question for you guys. With the season wrapping up and post-match breakdowns taking a bit of a break until the pre-season tour, what kind of content do you want from us in the meantime? Would you be into transfer rumours, player profiles for potential signings, maybe some historic throwback videos? Drop your suggestions in the comments, we're all ears, and we're more than happy to deliver. Alright, now that we've got that sorted, let's get into it the usual way, starting with the lineup. Alisson started in goal with Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate at the heart of the defence. Tsimikas took the left-back spot, while Conor Bradley lined up on the right to complete the backline. In midfield, there were no surprises. Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai took charge of the centre of the pitch. Up front, Cody Gakpo made his return to the starting 11, joining Mo Salah and Luis Diaz to form the attacking trio. Tactically, we didn't see anything too different or groundbreaking from Arne Slot, and maybe that's starting to frustrate some fans. Opponents seem to have figured out our patterns in possession, especially our build-up phase. What used to catch teams off guard is now something they're clearly prepared for. Let us show you a few examples of what we mean. Here, you can see us setting up in the usual 4-1 or 4-2 build-up shape. Our fullbacks stayed narrow and deep, with Gravenberch acting as the lone pivot. McAllister would occasionally drop next to him to create a double pivot when needed. From that base, we often look to switch play directly to Salah using Van Dijk's long diagonal balls. The issue is, teams have caught on. That switch to Salah is no longer as effective. They're now closing down the space before he even receives the ball, either by overloading his side or having the left back stick to him tightly, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Another problem that comes from our unchanging build-up shape is that teams have figured out how to press us and shut off access to the middle areas. Take a look at this example. Leicester pressed us in a 4-4-2 shape, with their strikers taking turns pressing our centre-backs, while also cutting off passing lanes to Gravenberch. At the same time, their wide midfielders would jump out to press our fullbacks whenever they got the ball. This kind of pressing setup is something we've seen before from teams like Liverpool, Everton, and even Southampton. And every time it's given us trouble during our build-up play. Now hold on a second. You might be thinking we're taking shots at Arne Slot here, calling him predictable or saying he's getting figured out. But that's not the case at all. We know how good Slot is at making in-game adjustments. In fact, that ability to tweak things on the fly is exactly why we've managed to grind out wins all season. From the opening match against Ipswich to that gritty performance against Brighton at Anfield, Slot's changes have earned us points again and again. So what did he actually do in this game? Well, around the 19th minute, you can see a shift. Conor Bradley starts pushing higher and wider than we usually see from our right back. The idea was simple: give Salah some extra support and open up space for him to operate. Bradley, who's excellent at making aggressive runs into space, begins making decoy movements into the half space. These runs forced Leicester's left back to stay pinned, and in doing so gave Salah a bit of breathing room to receive the ball and create. By doing this, we managed to pull Leicester City out of their defensive shape. Once they were disorganised, we were able to push them back and start creating chances, most of which came from the underlapping runs of our fullbacks, especially Tsimikas, who was heavily involved going forward. Bradley played his part as well, continuing to stretch their defence on the right. The issue though came whenever the Foxes dropped into a low block. When they sat deep, closed the spaces between the lines and left no room in behind, we started to struggle. Our attacks became less dangerous and we often found ourselves resorting to far post crosses aimed at Salah. And to be fair, Salah should have put at least one or two of those chances away. But then again, can we really ask for more from the Egyptian king after the heroic campaign he's had? This isn't the first time we've struggled to create clear chances against teams that sit deep. And unfortunately, it's becoming a recurring issue. Just as a reminder, we crashed out of the FA Cup and had a tough time breaking down Newcastle, mainly because of how tight and compact their low blocks were. Now, there are a few reasons behind this problem. First, teams are doubling up on Salah out wide. That pressure doesn't give him the time or space he needs to drive at defenders and cause damage like he usually does. Second, Gakpo's lack of one-on-one threat in static situations. The thing with Cody is he needs to be on the move. When he's running with momentum, he can take players on, but when he's standing still, he just doesn't have that burst of explosiveness or unpredictability to beat a man. And finally, we're clearly missing an interior player who can consistently operate between the lines, someone who can combine quickly, link play, and break through defensive blocks with a bit of creativity. That's why our play in these types of games often looks sharper when someone like Harvey Elliott is on the pitch. He brings that extra bit of invention we lack in those tight areas. And let's not forget, as good as Bradley has been, he's no Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent has that rare ability to break down deep defenses with one magical pass or cross. If he does end up leaving the club this summer, that's the kind of weapon we'll miss badly. Now, when you put all of this together, it becomes pretty clear why low blocks are arguably our worst nightmare. And at the same time, you get a glimpse of the areas we need to seriously look at in the upcoming transfer window. Whether it's bringing in a more dynamic wide threat, a creative midfielder who can operate between the lines, or just someone who can unlock tight defenses, these are problems we can't afford to ignore. Speaking of solutions, let's talk about Trent. He's been all over the headlines recently, and not always for the right reasons. But in true Scouse fashion, he stepped up when it mattered most. That left-footed strike ended up being the match winner, gifting us a massive 3 points. And let's be honest, that celebration, it gave us mixed feelings. It was passionate for sure, but there was something else in it too. Maybe a bit of anger or frustration. It's hard to ignore the rumours about his future, and if we're being real, it would hurt to see him go. Trent is a generational talent. Players like him don't come around often, and replacing someone with his vision, technique, and influence on games is no easy task. On that note, what do you guys think? Should we make a video discussing how the club could replace Trent if he does end up leaving? Or would you rather wait until there's something official about his future? Let us know in the comments. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you made it this far, thank you for sticking with us. As always, we try to break things down in a way that makes sense, without overcomplicating things or throwing in too much fluff. At the end of the day, we're just fans like you, trying to make sense of what we're seeing on the pitch. This win keeps the dream alive, but it also shows us the cracks that still need fixing. We've got one foot on the finish line, and hopefully the team can push through and get it done. But whether it's the title race, Trent's future, or our struggles against deep blocks, one thing's for sure, this summer is going to be massive. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think is the biggest issue we need to sort out before next season? And if Trent really does leave, who would you realistically want to see come in as a replacement? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.